Okay, I think we're live, but it's
Yeah,
not the
I
same
checked
link.
we are, so everyone is with us.
Great. I'm great at technology. It's
Welcome, everyone.
my strongest suit.
Thank you for your patience. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Helios online premiere of Love Women and for this Q&A session tonight. My name is Taka Komagata, and I'll be moderating this chat. First, I'd like to introduce the amazing creative team here with me tonight, who are also the co-founders of Helios Opera and Modular Opera projects. Theodore Cotterell, who is just heard as L in Love Women and who is also Helios General Director. Adrian Boris, who directed this show and is Artistic Director of Helios. And Julian Rohel, who filmed and edited this production and is the business advisor for Helios. Congratulations to a great production. It was amazing. This production brought opera to another level. It was really eye-opening.
Thank you.
So Thanks, Taka.
Yeah, of course. So I'm going to start things off by asking the team a question, but we want to hear from you next. So type your question in the live chat and we'll answer as many as we can tonight. If we don't get to your question, we'll be sure to follow up with an email. So I'm going to start off by asking the team a question. So my first question is, why did you choose to present La Voix Humaine as your pilot project for this new initiative? Let's start with Adrian.
Okay, yeah, so I met Theodora about a year and a half ago doing Così fan tutte at Lowell House, and I loved working with her because she's such a committed performer and great actor. So I was really flattered when she told me that she and Julien were thinking about starting some kind of business-minded opera company, you know, maybe something that runs a little bit more like a startup and less like a tiny nonprofit. And did I want to be involved in some way? Did I want to direct? And I was like, hell yes. So fast forward a year later, you know, gigs happen, pandemics happen. And one day in April, I just got a call from Theo and she was like, wouldn't this be the perfect time to do La Voix Humaine? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So we both were like floored by the way that it really kind of mirrors our lives right now in a creepy way. You know, focusing specifically on this over-dependence that we've developed on technology, you know, with each passing day. We are obsessed with it, but we also resent it because it's no substitute for in-person interaction. You know, we're all stuck in our homes, obviously. You know, some of us are lucky enough to have good and healthy home lives, and some of us are not. You know, many people remain in abusive relationships, and many people struggle to get the mental health care that they need during a time like this, both due to public health concerns and also due to the healthcare situation in this country being tied to employment. So we really thought, you know, what better piece to start us off on, because doing opera that speaks to the current moment and being a company that responds to the current moment is important to us.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a couple of questions already, so let's start. So I would like to know how that specific site was chosen for filming. And could you share a little bit about what the filming process was like?
So I'll take that because actually when the pandemic hit, we went to my parents' home, so it was pretty easy location to pick. And the whole point of Modular Opera Project is to allow artists during the pandemic to film from their homes. So that is the reason that we're here. And the filming process was, you know, we learned a lot through the process. It started off with Adrian and I talking about what we saw, what we envisioned, what she saw, what she envisioned, and how we could use the space and the material that we do have to, you know, produce it. And then I will let Julien take over because he filmed it.
Yeah, so the filming process was actually really fun. Well, obviously it's a sad piece, but we try and enjoy the process as much as possible. What's difficult about filming a not live performance is that you're always trying to improve it, to reshoot it, because there's something that you want to make better, and what's difficult is to decide when you want to move on and be happy with what you have and what take you have, because obviously there's always ways to make a scene better, the lighting, the sound, or even the angle you choose for the camera. But so that's what made the process a bit I would say tedious, but not it was always really fun.
Lengthy.
Yeah, it was fascinating for me as a director who has never worked in film, to have them. So what we did basically was we would rehearse over Zoom. When we did a lot of table work over Zoom, which was really fun. And that was like a very sort of healing thing for me, like early in the quarantine, to sort of be able to really dig into a story like this. And then we rehearsed it, and there was like a learning curve in terms of like, Theo had to figure out, where to put the computer so that I could see her and also see sort of what the shot would look like, but it wasn't quite that. So once we, staged it essentially, then they would film and send me, essentially the dailies, which I would watch and take notes on, send back to them, and they would do it again 2, 3, sometimes more times. So the whole thing was really detail focused and meticulous in a way that sometimes I feel like live tech weeks sort of can't be. Like, you have to just be like, okay, let's zoom out to the big picture. But this is like every move of the camera and of her eyelids, we obsessed over basically.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So next question is from Emily. How did you think about what modification to make the original text to fit a more modern era, modern technology? Do you want to start, Adrienne?
Yeah. Yeah, so I wrote the subtitles, not super titles, subtitles. And the first thing I'll say is, a lot of people were like, oh, this can't be updated because the 1950s party line is such a specific technological situation. And like, it is. And the piece was born out of that time, which, if you don't really know the party line, basically it was like this big open line, which I call the Wild West of phone lines, where there was no such thing as a private conversation and your call could get dropped by the operator really quickly. But the truth is, like, today, we may not have that, but we have all kinds of connectivity issues, and connectivity, as you just saw 10 minutes ago, is very high stakes, and it's like a huge part of our lives. And we saw it all the time when we were rehearsing over Zoom. I can't hear you, I can't see you, your thing is off, where are you? And like, it was frustrating because, we would be in the middle of this really like fervent artistic moment, and technology would just be like, screw you. So that does happen. And secondly, what the piece is really about is not necessarily like the technical side of the failure of technology, right? It's about her need to connect and the things that she realizes about herself over the course of a call. So those things are time universal. And so I felt like it would be in the service of telling the story to a contemporary audience to take some liberties with the translations only during those connectivity moments, to help us follow sort of what the obstacles that she's facing in those moments where she's trying to have a genuine connection with him are.
Thank you. So next question from Joanna. I'm very curious about the entire process and how singing was recorded. Was it live? What were the table talks like leading up to this aspect, etc.?
So I can talk about the mic recording.
Mm-hmm.
So it was filmed, every audio that you hear was filmed at the same time as it was shot. So what happened is Celeste, who's our amazing collaborative pianist, I'm so grateful to her, she recorded a track which we worked on together. We would discuss tempi and stuff like that, and then she sent it over, and I would use that to record on top of it. You can't always see it, but I always had an earbud in my ear. And then once that was recorded, we put it together, we aligned it, and then sent it to our audio engineer, Ken Silber, who then edit it. And then I'll let Adrian answer the rest of that question.
Yeah, so you asked about table talk. Yeah, the first thing that we did was go through and decide what Monsieur on the other end of the line was saying in every instance. And in a lot of cases, Theodora had already thought about that, and she would sort of bring something up, and I would either be like, yeah, that makes sense, or like, but what if it was this? And if that was helpful to her, then we included that. We talked, certainly a lot about creating sort of a backstory that she could use. Like there are some sort of characters that come up in the story. Her friend Martha. We talked about like what that relationship was like. And I think because those discussions were so rich, it gave me a little bit of fodder for filling out some of those technological moments. Who Joseph was. I think he is kind of like a manservant figure, in the original, and we decided that this Monsieur probably was a professor or something, and this was his sort of like departmental assistant, all kinds of sort of just like stuff that started to live in the back of our heads that we hoped would make the performance more specific, even though you didn't necessarily know all of that stuff. Yeah, and it's the kind of piece that I think like really grows in you. Like I think Theo, from studying it musically, knew it better than I did when we started. And it's kind of deceptively simple, I would say. So in other words, it's extremely complicated, and it has like a lot of layers. And the more time you work on it, the more those layers kind of pop out to you. So I'm really glad that we, essentially were in rehearsal for this for like 2.5 months, whereas, in an opera house, this would be allotted like maybe 7 days in the rehearsal room, which I really actually think is like not enough time in a lot of ways. So.
Thank you. Maybe it's related to the one we did, but what was the most surprising aspect in your relationship with the music doing this at home versus on stage?
So I would say that when you're live, you can respond to one another. So we had ideas, and obviously ideas change over time. And I think that if Celeste and I were to do this again, it would be completely different. So that was one thing that you have to adapt to. I would actually say that's the major thing. But like Adrienne said, one of the great things about it is that you do have more time with it. So you get to delve deeper than I think you would in other circumstances.
Thank you. Next one is from Taylor. What do you hope for the company moving forward? Do you hope more people can get involved, or how can they do that? Do you want to do it, Julian?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so as we explained, this was our pilot production, and the purpose of the pilot was to really understand, what challenges we would meet by producing this production at home, right? And like how we would overcome some of the challenges of staging remotely and communication and being able to share the music and the piano track and all of that, and then how to film at home and to make it look good and enjoyable for the audience. And so we've learned a lot, and we've kind of formalized what we learned in the process. And so the next step, yes, is to share all that knowledge and allow other teams to also produce their own content at home. And so Adrienne, I think, has an announcement regarding our next production, which should come in the next few months. And the idea is to hire a team, through a regular, if we can say that, audition process, and which will probably be on Zoom, and share all the knowledge that we've acquired during the pilot to allow this next team to get their production out there. Yeah.
And I did see in the questions something about composers. We one of our goals is to work with composers who are writing today. Right. Obviously, there's a fundraising that goes around a lot of this, but it is definitely one of our goals.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Adrienne,
thank you.
Yeah, so like Julian said, I think the goal is really to sort of have like a core CORPS of singers, throughout the country and world, because this is so modular, who are producing work for Modular Opera Project, who are getting stipends, and who are getting artistic, technical, marketing support from Modular Opera Project and Helios Opera. So if you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, we will be making an announcement about what's next within the next 2 weeks, certainly during the time that this piece is still up. Fundraising and raising capital is a big part of this. So if you enjoyed what you saw here tonight that was presented free of charge, and you're so able, please visit heliosopera.com/support and give what you're able, and or please share this video that's going to be up for 6 weeks from today. Yeah, I have so many big dreams and goals, and also short-term goals. We would like to hire more artists. We would like to hire more artists of color in particular, and commission composers of color in particular. All of this is very expensive, but we think there's absolutely no more worthy cause, in a way, in American lyric theater right now. And I was saying to Theo the other day, like, if someone gave us $45 million tomorrow, one initiative that I would absolutely start is commissioning more one woman or one female voice operas that are the same length as La Voix Humaine, but where maybe she doesn't die in the end, and that the layers of representation, both in terms of female identifying singers and non-white identifying singers, are expanded. We think that's really important.
Thank you. Sarah asked, "Brava! It was so nice to be close enough to really see the acting subtleties. Do you feel that this development relationship between opera and the film will continue to grow post-COVID?"
I absolutely do.
Do you want to take? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's one great thing about film, which you don't get in the theater, is that you can see emotions up close. And I do think that we're a generation of singers that have been taught how to act well, and that's something that you don't necessarily get live. And one of the things we were thinking about when we started thinking about Modular Opera Project is that what can we bring to opera since we cannot be live? Like, what can we offer more than just like Zoom or something like that?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That was part of when you think about our value proposition, there's nothing that we can offer that would be better than a live performance, except being closer to the actors and the singers, and see their emotions up close, and that's the way we thought about it, and being able to see every detail, every reaction of Elle, and obviously that would work for other pieces as well. But what was our differentiator, the way we thought about how can we deliver something special and something valuable to our audience, and that was our answer.
Great. So difficult to film after each take versus singing live on stage. Is it more stressful and nerve-wracking to video versus stage?
So I think they're just completely different. Videoing itself wasn't stressful. What was stressful was watching myself. I think that when you're live, you have sort of a communication with the audience. They send some energy your way, whereas here you're kind of on your own. So it's definitely much easier to go into detail, but that detail also has like a flip side.
Okay, thank you. Next question is expanding a little on Taylor's question. You've mentioned that you're hoping to attract singers to future production. Would you be open to composers proposing a project for this as well?
Yes, and actually we've already had some propose, which is so exciting. I love that. We want to be able to pay them to do this work. Certainly if there's existing work that feels like it would be a fit, we want to hear about it, absolutely. But I think that it really kind of goes along with this idea of the merging of opera and film, because, obviously we're like in a golden age of television, and there's quite a lot of competition on Netflix and Hulu. And part of what's exciting about those shows is that they are being created now specifically for this audience. And so I think we have a chance to get into that market, so to speak, with commissions. So I think commissions is one of the parts of this that I'm most excited about. So yes.
Us too.
Thank you. This is for Julian. Did you use multiple cameras? How did Julian learn how to film and edit so well? This question's from Yosef.
Thank you. Yeah, we used two cameras, and the purpose was to make the transitions as seamless as possible, which was not always easy because you need the sound to line up with the piano, and you need all the expressions, all the emotions to like flow seamlessly. So that was definitely a challenge. And where did I learn to film? Well, obviously I'm not a professional. I'm actually the only non-professional on the team. And I was part of the video club in college, which makes me sound like a big nerd, but that's what it is.
And we also got some good advice from Guillaume Cotin and Florence Sobieski, who gave us some tips on lighting and what to think about. So we're really
which was super useful.
Super useful.
So this is gonna be last question. How did you decide to use YouTube as your platform? Were there any challenges that this posed?
Well, I think our biggest challenge is that the internet here is not very good. So it was a bit, what was most stressful about it was getting it up. But we chose YouTube because I think it's something that everybody knows about, and it's a good platform. And I think I would say in classical music, I have a tendency to see more people using YouTube than something like Vimeo. So that's how we came to our decision.
Yeah, I think we also wanted to use the Premiere function, right? Which is, you can set a timer and the show starts at a given hour, which was nice. And it's just like user friendly. Everyone knows it. It's a very common platform. The only issue I would say, which may or may not have been an issue, is sometimes when you don't refresh the page, the sound can be a bit off, which is too bad, right? When you spend so much time editing it. But that's the only drawback I would say.
The other thing is Theo and I both have professional YouTube pages, so it's always good to, consolidate onto the same service. So just a plug for those pages, and particularly my dramatic coaching and stage directing tutorial videos you can find on my YouTube. The other thing is we did not want to use anything like Zoom or anything that would have any kind of sound lag. I think even though the video quality turned out beautifully, the first thing that we talked about with this was the sound quality has to be exemplary or it doesn't accomplish those goals that Julian was talking about. So that's part of why we went with YouTube. And then also it makes the Poulenc people very happy, the rights holders, to know like, this is the address, this is where it's going to be, it'll be there for 6 weeks, and then it goes away. And it's very easy for us to do.
Thank you. Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for tonight. I just have one more question for the team. I think everyone wants to hear this. What's next for Helios and modular opera projects?
Well, in the short term, we're going to be doing a couple more watch parties, particularly ones that work a little bit better for the European time zones. And there's a couple of organizations, both in Europe and in Boston, that have expressed interest in running those. we will be very active on social media, sort of continuing our campaign around this piece, which, like I said, is up for 6 weeks, and also plugging some of our sibling organizations, other small companies, both in Boston and nationally, who are also doing great streaming work. Mass Opera, Opera Del West, NEMPAC Opera Project are just a few that put in plugs for us, which is great. And like I said, you can watch our feeds in the next couple of weeks for a more concrete announcement about next steps for MOP. We do want to hear from you. We have, I think, a contact form on our website, right? So you can absolutely feel free to get in touch. We're very responsive. We want to be in conversation about this. And lastly, once again, if you have the means, please visit heliosopera.com/support and/or share us with your friends near and far, far and wide, and spread the good word.
Thank you. Thank you for the great show tonight. And I would like to thank everyone for watching, coming, and thank you for all the great questions. If we didn't get a chance to address yours tonight, you can expect an email soon. If you like the show tonight, remember it will be up for 6 weeks from tonight. So please share widely on social media to your friends, to your family. So thank you so much, everyone.